Good morning, everyone. Hope your day is going well. And I am going to be making pesto today. So I'm out here in my container of basil, and it really looks good. It's probably about 3 feet tall. So it's time to harvest it. Some of the leaves have started to go yellow, so I definitely need to get this done. And I was able to find pine nuts for the recipe at Walmart, so I was pretty excited. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this basil, and I'll meet you in the house. So I was able to get a lot of basil. As you can see, it's so nice and fresh. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and take all these leaves off, the stems, go through and make sure there aren't any that have any bug bites or anything, and wash it really good. And then I'm going to dry it. And how you take it off the stem is you just go ahead and just you can either take it off by leaf, or you can just take your hand and go straight down from the way that the leaf is growing up, and you can just slide them off that way, and that's what I'll be doing. But I'm so happy with this basil. It smells so good. So I got all my basil off of the stems, and now I'm looking for possible bug bites or bugs or anything, dirt. And I've got it. It's washing. It's soaking in cold water, which will keep it nice and fresh. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to tear off each one of these leaves and put it in my strainer over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and put it on these paper towels. I've got 2 thick. And then I'll pat it down and make sure it's really dry, and I'll let it stay there for probably an hour. So make sure all the water's out, because you don't want any water in your pesto because it's oil based and it would separate. But I'm going through this. Any leaves that look discolored or have, sorry if I'm shadowing this, like this one, it's discolored and has a lot of bug bites. There's a little one on there I can save. But there's some leaves that might have a tear in them or something, and you can go ahead and just kind of work around that. But basil is a very delicate herb, and you can see just by me tearing it how it's fragile like that. But it smells so good. Pesto takes a little time if you're going to make it fresh, especially from your homegrown basil, because you do have to pick it and wash it. And I guess you can buy basil in the store. I've only seen where you can buy the plants. I guess you could buy the little bit over there in the produce section at Walmart. I don't know if you'd have enough for this recipe. It calls for 4 cups. But what my recipe is going to be is Parmesan cheese, pine nuts, olive oil, garlic, and basil. And I believe I haven't forgotten anything, but I'll make sure I've got the recipe in the description. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and I'll be right back. Here's the basil all nice and clean. And I went through, and there are some stems, but I went ahead and pulled off the stems that look like they might be a little woody. I'm going to use my food processor, so it will pulverize them. But what I'm going to do now is put my other paper towel on there and go ahead and press down. And this will help get a lot of the water out. Look, see the water coming through here? And you can use this. I've made spinach pesto before, and that's basically only 2. I think there are other pesto leaves that you can make pesto out of, but that's all I've done. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep pressing this down and get the water out and let this sit. And I'll come back, and then we'll start making our pesto. All right, we're going to go ahead and put the pesto together. And I had said I was going to use 4 cups of pesto, but I only have a half a cup of pine nuts, so I have to just make a half a recipe. And it's got Parmesan cheese in it, if you want to use Romano, it's a hard cheese you need. But if you want to freeze this, you probably want to omit the cheese right now because it doesn't freeze that well, and just add it at a later time. So we've got our olive oil. I'll use only a half a cup. I'd measured out a cup because thought I had more pine nuts, but I'll just use a half a cup. 2 cups of fresh basil washed and dried. Salt and pepper to taste. Garlic, of course it's to taste, but I'm going to start with 3 cloves and the pine nuts. And you can use walnuts if you don't like pine nuts. We use pine nuts because we have a family member that is allergic to walnuts and not pine nuts. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and put the pesto in my food processor. Okay. Holding my phone, so trying to do this one-handed. All right, there it is. We'll go ahead and put the Parmesan cheese in. I'm not freezing this. I'll keep it in the fridge, and we'll eat that. Go ahead and put in our pine nuts. That was 4 ounces. And I'm going to go ahead and put pepper in here, and it's salt and pepper to taste. So I just do a few shakes. Salt, probably maybe a half a teaspoon for this. And then we'll put our garlic in. This is fresh garlic that we grew here right on the homestead. So I'll try 3 of those. So I'm going to go ahead and put the food processor on. And this is an old one, but it still works. I love retro things, so. All right, let's see. Now I like mine crushed, so it looks like that. Okay, that should be pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and taste it, see what it tastes like. I think it's just beautiful. I think it needs a little bit more garlic. Well, guys, here's our finished pesto. I went ahead and put it in a ball jar, and I'm going to keep it in the fridge. It should keep rather well in the fridge, probably 2 weeks, I would say. And like I said, you can freeze it, but better to freeze it without the cheese, but I can freeze this even though it does have cheese in it. And there I have it on my pasta, and I'll mix it around, and it's so good. Give it a try if you want to. I think you'd enjoy it. Also, the other pestos, I was trying to think earlier, you can make mint pesto, parsley pesto, kale pesto, spinach pesto, anything that's an herb with a leaf. It would be really good with those ingredients. And it is to taste, so I did add more salt, pepper, and garlic. Well, enjoy. And if you'd like, share, and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Have a great day from Lazy K Homestead. Bye, y'all.